Coach and me have played tag for the past, I don't know, all off season. Tried to either do podcasts or clinics. Our schedules have never worked. Like either my daughter's doing something, just been horrendous. We can DM like no other, but our schedules have not aligned. So this is great being able to get him on. Coach Malone is the quarterback coach at Rockmart High School. He's going to talk a little bit about creating an offensive install plan from a master ready list and a Friday night call sheet. I think something I've kind of really, as I'm transitioning back from being a head coach to an OC, stuff I've been really looking at the past couple weeks after I've been made it official. So, Coach, kind of the floor is yours, my friend.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Nicholas, thanks, man. And yeah, we can DM like crazy. I really do appreciate the opportunity to be here. So currently I'm the quarterbacks coach at Rockmart High School in Rockmart, Georgia. It's an honor to be able to represent the Yellow Jacket football program and everything that they've stood for 100 years. That's my contact information, cell phone number, email address is there, along with my Twitter. Don't take any notes. Anything you want from this or anything else that I've gotten, you're more than welcome to. Just hit me up and reach out to me. So what I want to do, and it's not really sexy, you can kind of see I've got gray hair. So young guys love to talk, a specific play or a route or a concept. But for me, as I've gotten older, I feel like I have my beliefs offensively, run game, pass game, etc. But I'm always intrigued and interested by what people do in regards to breaking down an opponent and how they take a call sheet or their game plan or whatever, and they go backwards and install it starting in the spring. And I've spent my whole career in the South, so we do get spring football. So anyway, Coach, if you'll go ahead and flip it to the ready list, that second sheet, and then we'll kind of jump in right here. Again, our Friday night call sheet looks like for me. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to have this out looking at it constantly. I've been calling plays since 2003. This past season is the first year I didn't call plays since 2003. I've been either a head coach or a coordinator, every year since 2003 up until this season. It was a really cool thing to jump into the program I'm in and just coach quarterbacks and have input into the offense and whatnot, but see it from a different lens, truthfully. So anyway, this is what a Friday night call sheet for me would look like. It's color coded, laid out. We're going to talk about it for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to dive into the install plan and then open it up for questions. And like I said, you want any of this, you just hit me up. So basically, the red section are going to be run plays and our RPO tags. Now, I will say this. I am a big believer in less is more, with the exception of the offseason, and I'll kind of circle back around to that. So this offensive master ready list, think about it as a playbook table of contents. So that's everything that's in the system that I would run, right? Everything, every tag, everything we would do, and so situational different things, stuff like that. And so when we go into an off season and we're studying, we're in that study phase where January, February, March kind of transition into April. You're looking at all these ideas. I'm constantly flooding them into this master ready list so that I can come back and right before spring football and kind of get an idea of, okay, what's going to stick, what's us, what isn't us, what's going to fit our kids, and then start pulling things out or maybe adding something in. And so that's what this is. This is, just think playbook, table of contents. It's all inclusive. So everything we have, every idea or note we can put in, we can funnel into this in the off season. And I love the term less is more. I use the term expensive. I don't like things that are expensive. I like things that can be taught easily, coached easily, that play off of or piggyback off of something we already do. I love to walk out on the field and tell a quarterback, hey man, this is the same as with this tweak or whatever. But when we start building this in the offseason, this call sheet, this Friday night call sheet, and I know this is the whole point of this is to work backwards. But I want to look at it as a more is more, not less is more. More is more. We're going to throw everything that we think we want to carry or have in our offense in this document through January, through late March, early April. And then when we round into spring football, then we're going to start pulling things out. All right, so red section, upper left-hand corner, all run game, and our RPOs. I'm a big believer in carrying 3 run schemes only. I know when I talk to coaches a lot, I get the funny side-eye looks when I say that, but I think 3 run schemes is truly what a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kid can learn, comprehend, and walk out on the field and apply and execute. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't bleed them dry. We are going to take these 3 run schemes. We are going to bleed them dry. We're going to tag them as much as we can tag them, but we're not going to change the total integrity of the run play. We're going to try to run it to everybody. So, for example, wide zone has been a staple run for me as a play caller for a lot of years, but we're going to run that to our main running back. We're going to run it to our hybrid running back, who's a slot player in our system called F. We're going to run it to the X and the Z receivers as jet sweeps. If we have athletic tight end, we'll run it to him. We're going to do as much as we can with each of these run schemes with as many players as we can. That is a huge, huge, huge belief of mine. All right. So I won't go into all the details of down each column, but basically inside zone is the first one. And we're going to carry, quarterback inside zone, tailback inside zone, or T in our system, F being our hybrid little running back. Think wing T slot that lines up in the backfield, in the sidecar, or out at a receiver position. And all the tags that we can tag with it. All right, so you can kind of see that first column. Second column is wide zone. Third column is gap runs. Now, this is somewhere where I'll probably differ a little bit from most coaches. I like to differentiate between power and counter. And so we're going to carry one of those per year, and we're going to allow our players' strengths to dictate it. So I'll give you an example of how we would make that decision. We walk out, before we go out to spring football, and we're like, okay, we have a tight end that's a true thumper, sniffer guy that can line up in the B gap and can really step up and kick out a defensive end. Then okay, we can be a power team. We have that player. If we don't have that player, but we have guards that can pull and kick, then okay, we'll be a counter team. If we have tackles that can really pull along with those guards that can kick, then maybe we need to look at being a counter tray team, right? We're going to look at those and we're going to determine what we can do. And I've never been one that was a big fan of carrying power, counter tray, all of them. And I know the argument, well, man, the play side's all gap down and, we're going to keep it simple. Or as Coach Wiley just talked about, hey, we can double team and gallop and all that down this play side. But to me, it's a different run play. And so we're going to decide that. Now, let's say we don't have a tight end that can kick and we don't have guards that can pull and kick either, but we think that we've got a quarterback that can run, then we want to carry power read. And that's the option section you'll see there in that far right red column. We'll carry power read, and we're going to carry it 3 different ways because, or we will carry 3 ways. We'll have it in the ready list, but we're going to try to find the best one, the traditional Cam Newton, Auburn power read, shuffle, attack downhill, or we can run it as speed option, or we can run it as dive option, all kind of looking like front side veer. So we're going to kind of determine what we do with those per year. And I'll kind of backtrack for a second. Inside zone could very well be ISO back in the day. That was something that we used to carry. That was an ISO run for us as opposed to inside zone. Wide zone in the past has been pin pull. Now our wide zone is, to quote a guy that I worked with, it's a Frankenstein run. It's truly wide zone, pin pull, buck sweep, all rolled into one little package. I've spent a lot of time over the last couple of weeks talking to coaches, honestly, throughout the country about that. So that's our run thing. Then we've got the RPO tags built in there too. So on a Friday night, all that's there. Slide over to the purple section. That's passes, purple P passes. Our quick game column, our full field column, which is, our full field is generally going to be, we can either mirror things up or, whatever. Just those are traditional, basic concepts that I think everybody runs. Our shot series, we've always, living in Tennessee and growing up around the South and Southeastern Conference football, and I've had friends that played at Vanderbilt and coached at Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt's never been very good in football. And so for Vanderbilt to be good, they have to take shots, is what we say. So we like to name a lot of our shot plays out of Vanderbilt. So you'll see Vipers, 4 verts for us. Panthers is a trail wheel play, but then you've got Vandy Commodore, Admiral, and Money. Vanderbilt's a very wealthy school. So those are all of our shot plays built in there. Our nakeds, We used to carry a bunch of different nakeds. We really hammered that down to just 2 or 3 now. We've got our screen tags over there and all of our protections. So all that stuff, it runs and passes are all there on a Friday night call sheet. The next one down is the orange section. If anybody ever comes to talk offense with me, I think that's the one section that we've always done a really good job of, is the orange section in our system. We call that operations. I feel like offensively, you can only control 2 things. Offensively, if you're a play caller, we can only control 2 things. Number one, we can control the picture that we present to a defense. That's a personnel, formation, motion, splits. You know, if you're into the Art Briles, Tennessee, Baylor, really wide split receivers, or if you're old school air raid, huge wide split offensive line, you know, huddling, not huddling, signaling, not signaling, motion, shifts, trades. We control that picture, and we can control the tempo in which we present the picture. That's it. That's all we control offensively. And so I think you have to have a system in place. And that orange section is really and truly the system of which how we operate on offense, line up, shift, move around. So you'll see our sets. And it's funny, I was making some notes. I've got to reorganize this because I don't think it goes sequentially. Our sets, our personnel, our motions, our cadences, and you'll see those different position letters. That's our triggers. So we like to have trigger terms that tell specific players what to do. So our F, our hybrid running back, wide receiver, he's going to have a specific set of words that talk to him only. Our T, being our pistol back, is going to have specific words that talk to him only. Our Y, our tight end, specific words that put him in different spots. Our receivers and offensive line, all are going to have specific things that are going to talk to them and them alone. But then you go back to our motions. We teach the motions to everybody. We used to teach it differently, man. We used to teach like, if the X was going to motion across, that was exit. If the Z was motioning across, that was zoom. You know, if the Y was motioning across, it was yo. And we just kind of got to the point where like, look, man, we're just going to simply tag who's running motion, who's running jet sweep, who's running this or that. And then we'll just tag that specific player and have those uniform, universal terms for everybody. So that's our operation, formation, motion section there. Our blue section is going to be a little bit more situational based for us. Titans being a 2 tight end personnel grouping for us, but those are specific situations we use that in. Goal line personnel, those are just the different goal lines we can get in. What is our 2-minute stuff? What are our 2-point plays? What is our Hail Mary system? What are we bringing in there? When are we going for 2? That's kind of a situational section in the call sheet. Our specials are in yellow, you know, any kind of trick play, junk play, whatever you want to call them. And then our play caller thing, the kids just need to understand, look, man, 3rd and 4, you know, we're needing 4 yards. Coach is calling this play. And again, I know I'm in the minority. I know there's people listening to this right now turning it off. I understand that. But to me, that's just, it's expensive, man. That's just extra time that we're going to be simply calling plays. I don't want our kids getting tore up over a situation. You know, they don't need to, I just don't think they need to know if it's 3rd and 6, it's a 2-down territory for me. That they don't need to know that. They just need to know coach is calling plays and we're trying to get 6 yards. That's it. So that's our call sheet on Friday night. So if we're in a game plan on Sunday and we've gone through and looked at different things, that call sheet is a Google Doc. We all have access to it. Basically, all I need to do is if we go in that week and our starting quarterback's kind of hurt and our backup's absolutely out, we're not going to run quarterback runs. So we start removing them from the run section. If there are RPOs that we just don't like versus that opponent for whatever the reason, we're going to pull those out. If we're not running options that week because the quarterback's hurt, they're gone. You know, and then you can just see how we're just going to start pulling that stuff out. Passes. We don't like slant flat this week for whatever the reason. It's gone. It's out. We're not going to do that. And then, so that's going to be a Sunday game plan. This document that you're looking at is going to completely look different. It's going to be way scaled back. As I said earlier, more is more in the offseason. And then we're going to get rid of that bad boy and start honing it down to what we're doing that week. And so then we can just plug, you know, pull. If something new's going in, I'm going to mandate something's got to come out. You know, I don't want to ever get too much. One of the greatest lessons I ever learned in coaching was after the 2018 season. We were not great at the school I was at, personnel wise, offensively, and we were always every week trying to create chunk plays and different things. And then we just kind of went to that offseason and said, you know what, less is more, man. We got to be us, and that was the quote: just be us. Focus on us. offensively, what we do is way more important than what the defense does. They're going to line up how they line up. They're going to blitz how they blitz. We have to execute and operate, and that's what's more important. So I don't want our kids ever getting so caught up in, oh, they do this, they do this. We're going to understand their personnel and their scheme, but we're just more about us. So that is our ready list. That's a call sheet on Friday night. You can see I'm wearing glasses. I've gotten older, and so I've got that bad boy split into a 2-page call sheet too, so I can flip it and it's bigger writing. Honestly, that's all that is. So anyway, that's the ready list. That's where we're going to. That's a Friday night call sheet. Now let's work backwards, Coach. If you'll put it on to that installation plan, that next one we'll kind of start landing this plane a little bit. Okay, so this is our master offensive installation schedule. It's laid out in the exact same colors down the left-hand column that you've seen on the master ready list. All right, so that call sheet that we use on Friday night, these colors coincide and match up with it. So. And then up across the top, you'll see day 1, day 2, day 3, going all the way to day 8. This is just an old gray-haired coach belief. Don't ever put the date. Don't put as day 1. Don't put May 1, because as soon as you write May 1, I'm superstitious. It's going to rain. It's going to lightning. You're going to have a tornado warning, especially in the South. So don't ever put a date. Just put day 1. All right? And so my belief is when we're looking at an installation plan, we're going to lay it out in an 8-day format. Now, I know I sat in some clinics at Clemson this offseason. Their offensive coordinator's an air raid guy. We're going to do it in 3 days, and then we're going to do it again in 3. And I get it, and that's great. That's great for them. I would much rather go a little slower, be a little more methodical, and throw specific things at them sequentially day by day, as I would throwing it all in 3 days, and then we're going to come back and do it again and do it again. I'd rather it just go really slow. So we're going to start with day 1 and work that column down. So the first thing you'll see, day 1 is on the upper left-hand corner there, day 1, and then working that column down. So we've got sets. So we're going to put in our tight end sets where the tight end is on the ball, right and left. That's traditional pro in football language. Rex and Lex would be pro flex. So now he's on the ball, but he's flexed out 6-7 yards. All right, so we're going to put day 1, the 2 formations we're going to put in are going to be formations where the tight end is on the ball. We have no tags, formation tags going in day 1. No motions go in day 1. We do have triggers day 1. We're going to put in triggers for our F, which is R and L, A and D, and we can put in our tailback triggers at and dog. Now, I will say this. A lot of those triggers, especially for our tailback, never get used. We like for him to be our pistol running back, run the football, play action pass, fit in protection, or we want to tear motion him out pre-snap. That's about all we'll do. But you can see, again, more is more. We're throwing everything on this bad boy to see what sticks. So those are our triggers for those specific running backs on day 1. Come down to runs. We're only going to put in wide zone day 1. That's it. No other run play day 1. Defensive coaches are licking their chops. They're going to suck on offense. That's fine. I don't care. This is a marathon, not a sprint. This is spring football install. So day 1, wide zone only. Day 1 RPO is smoke, just the uncovered receiver, corners off. We're going to spit the ball out there quick. You've seen Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady do that a million times in the NFL. That's day 1. We're going to put in our basic protections day 1, 50 being 5-man protection empty and 60 being 6-man protection. We're man slot. So we're going to put in that day 1. We're going to put in one quick game day 1, Houston, which is all hitches. Funny story. Again, called football plays for a long time, man. And over the last 6-7 years, the number 1 called pass play and the number 1 highest completion play I've been a part of is all hitches. It is unbelievable how well it is. It's a great, easy thing to do. Believe in it completely. We're going to put in curl flat as our full field shot. We're going to put in our 4 verts on day 1. No nakeds, no screens. And we're going to talk a situation. And this is something where I think a lot of people, high school guys, get away from in spring ball. You have to start installing situations early on. I had a coaching mentor friend of mine that always said, like, his example was in working special teams, put the hardest crap in first. So he would start, instead of going out there and teaching kickoff and kickoff return, he's going to teach kickoff onside and kickoff return, onside return, day 1. That's a complicated situational issue. That's a tough one to do. There's a lot of pressure. Let's just be honest, everybody's nervous. The hairs on the back of your neck standing up. He teaches that day 1. So by the time they get to the season, those kids have done it multiple times, right? So I believe that. So our situation is going to be sugar huddle day 1. So we're going to teach the old Gus Malzahn, 2 yards from the ball, everybody bunch, huddle up, get the signal, bam, get out. We're not going to overcoach it. We're just going to tell them, get in the huddle, get where you can see the signal it out. Quarterback's going to say, ready, break, boom, we're up fast as we can and go. So we're going to teach that situation day one, no trick plays. Let's slide over to day two. So now we're going to work rocket, locket, razor, laser, which are sets. Those are tight end off the ball sets. We're trying to work sequentially. No tags. Motions. We've got jet motion. Then we've got our sugar huddle we can put in because we put it in as a situation day one. Putting in some different run triggers day one for our running backs. Now we're going to stick with our wide zone day one, day two. We're only going to carry that. We're going to run wide zone for 2 straight days. But now we're going to start adding jet sweeps from receivers, adding some tags on the backside. We're going to do some different things to dress it up, but it's still just wide zone blocking. And as I said earlier, we that wide zone for us is wide zone, pin pull, buck sweep. It can be anything depending on how the defense aligns and how we make a call. We're going to put in a rip and liz RPO, which is a stacked RPO day two. We'll add a little play action tag that I stole from our head coach where I'm at now, ride for protection on day two. We're going to put in our rub quick game, our spot, which is nothing but, as Noel Mazzoni's 2-man, 3-man snag. We're going to put in Vandy, which is nothing but dig inside a post route. No nakeds, no screens. And then the second situation day is quarterback sneak. How many people wait until the week of the game, if you're not an under center team, to put quarterback sneak in and put victory in? So we're going to put those in the spring and touch on them. All right, day three, you can I'm not going to keep boring you guys working through all this, but basically the plan is this. We're going to go through this 8 days in the spring. 8 days in the spring. We're going to follow this as much to the letter as we possibly can. We'll go in each day, make sure we highlight the things we got. If something didn't get in, it bumps to the next day, and that bumps that next day out, and everything just goes like that. But we're going to go through this in 8 days. And then we're going to come back in June, and we're going to follow this exact same plan again, and we're going to move it to 7 days. So I've got this thing reworked to go 7-day install. We feel like we should be able to do that. Spring ball's in May. And we get a break for final exams. And then we go and we hit June. And we're going to go through it 8 days again. Bam, 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 bam. And then we're going to get to July. And we're going to go 8 days in the spring, 7 days in June. Then we're going to condense it to 6 days in July. We should be able to do that. These kids have already been through it now twice. They understand it. We're picking it up a little bit. So 8 in spring football, 7 in June, 6 in July. Then we get to fall camp, and we should have this down to 5. I did a podcast earlier this offseason, and one of the guys was like, Coach, do you ever mix up the install? No. Well, our defensive guys would know. I don't care. I mean, we're focused more on what we're doing. It's more about us. Just be us. I don't care what the defense is doing, and that's how we do that. All right. So that is our installation plan. We really kind of believe in it. I love how it's kind of organically morphed itself over time. I didn't do the situations in the past. That just came about in the last few years. Adding the special plays, we never did that in the spring. We would never do those things. But we're going to kind of lay this thing out and try to hit every single solitary thing on it in an 8-day install. And then we're going to just go back and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it so that we can be organized with it. And then we can also take it and we can transform it and move it to like a calendar in the sense of when did we hit quarterback sneak? Well, we hit it in May 17th. All right, put that on a little checklist. May 17th, QB sneak. When did we hit it in June? We hit it June sneak. We're 2 minute. We're take a safety, Hail Mary, overtime victory. Something. And I heard him say, we've played in 2 overtime games in the last 5 years. I think we played in 3 this year, 1 being the state championship game, and it went to triple overtime. So you start thinking about, trying to talk about overtime and I can't lie. I mean, I was thinking about okay, now where do we start? I'm in Georgia now, not Tennessee. Do we start on the 15? Do we start on the 10? Do we start on the 20? Go through those situations and really hammer them down. But I think more importantly, go through them so they don't freak your kids out, right? Now go through them so that, I'm guilty. I'll raise my hand. I'm guilty as a head football coach and a coordinator forever. Victory went in on Thursday morning or Thursday before game 1. That's when victory got put in. Well, what happens if you go up and take that snap and you fumble it, who's diving on it, whatever. So let's go ahead and do it in the spring. Let's go ahead and hit it throughout the summer. Let's hit it in fall camp so we're ready for that situation. I think this is where you get coaches on your staff with experience. Like start asking them questions. We worked this year at Rockmart. We worked free kick because one of our guys had experienced it at a previous stop. Okay, we fair caught the punt. Boom, let's work our free kick situation. That kind of stuff can win you a football game. People talk about Bill Belichick, hate him, love him, why he's not employed, but there's not a football coach in history that understands situational football. So I think I'm supposed to go to 2:30. I got about 4 minutes, Coach. We can fire off any question. I don't know if you got anything else. That's pretty much it. If you want it, I'll be glad to share every bit of this with you. Text me, email me, DM me, whatever.
Well, while we talk, who are currently watching this, we've had a bunch of people jump on and off for both presentations. Right. And anybody who watches this back, whether it's the full stream or we're not going to do all that lovely jazz. My question for you, and somebody can jump in the chat on YouTube if they want, but if they don't, is your master install list, obviously, and I'll go back to it real quick, is got 8 days there. Yep. And I get some of your scheme changes a little bit year to year. If you're a good school, you might take something out, add something, blah, blah, blah. How much do you as a staff tinker with this list year to year? Is it pretty set in stone year to year, and I know personnel adjusts that a little bit, but if you got mostly returning personnel, is it that, or do you look at maybe the whole thing every year and be like, hey, we're just going to restart from point A? How do you, when you're putting the installation schedule together year to year, how much are you tinkering with it?
We're going to do it 2 different ways. Number one is we're going to tinker with it all the time. It is a living, breathing document. So it's going to be tinkered with constantly through the off season. Then once we kind of get settled on it, then there are some nuts and bolts of it that really are untouchable. Starting in the orange section, for example, we're going to be very methodical about our formation and trigger and motion installs, because I feel like they build off each other. So they scaffold each other. But I also think that just from trial and error of doing it, understanding how we can get into some same as this, same as that. So that's going to be pretty constant year in and year out. But I'm sure everybody else on this chat and anywhere else probably is adding the motion that the Dolphins did this year with Tyreek Hill, where they would burst him out, and So all right, well we're going to try to add that. You can see day 7. That's hop. That's hop. Got an O in it, so it's outside. So stuff like that comes about, and you add it. But I'll jump into the run section, the reds. Let's say we're not going to run any kind of that wide zone that we run, but we want to run buck sweep. So buck sweep's going to be our number 1 play. That's what it was at Rockmart. That should be the number 1 run put in. Or go back to 2015-16, when I was a head coach in Tennessee, and pin pull was really our number 1 run play. So that can change based off personnel, off personality, off of and then in the passing game specifically, it's going to always build off what can the quarterback do well. What's he good at? What's he suck at? And if we go back to even the master ready list, the Friday night call sheet, somewhere about Wednesday, I'm going to get with the quarterbacks, the starter, be like, what do you hate? Hand him a copy of it and say, here's a Sharpie. Mark out the things you hate. It doesn't do me any good to call it if it's my favorite pass play, but he hates it. Right. So then we're going to, at that week it's out. Then we're going to come back in next week and kind of figure it out. But no, man, it's a living, breathing document. Everybody has access to us. We can change it as we need to change it, move it around as we need to move it around. And it's year to year, man. It really, truly is. And it can even be section to section. Spring went this way. We didn't like it. Let's look at June and maybe bounce this to here. And this goes first and this goes back, and go from there.
Well, perfect, Coach. Well, again, coaches, don't hesitate to reach out to Coach. Like I said, I put his information back on the screen. I put his Twitter in the chat. If you have any questions, get a hold of him. Coach, personal preference, phone, email, or Twitter. What is your personal contact preference?
Tweet me or text me. DM me on Twitter or text me.
Okay.
I'm not great on it. I don't check email all the time.
Okay, that's perfect, Coach. And then so coaches, reach out to him if you need him. Coach did a great job. And then if you got any further questions, again, Coach will send you all this. Like I said, I have in my personal email. He sent it to me, obviously to do this, but still, like, it's made me. I have a general one that I have together for this year, but like I said, it's making me look at maybe tweaking some stuff before we get to that. We have a couple weeks. So, other than that, Coach, thank you. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man. Love it. Appreciate it.